Welcome to Best Laid Plans, a Malifaux podcast. Episode 13, Henchmen Hardcore, Scoundrels Edition.
Welcome back, sports fans, to Best Laid Plans. I'm your host, Spoons Johnson. This is an episode of Best Laid Plans hosted by Doug, who hasn't done this in like 3 years. I'm excited.
For you.
That's only slightly longer since I've done it.
So let's just get into it for the first time ever and not do it cold open. This is the one format I'll allow a non cold open to. Also because we've been like sitting here vamping for like 20 minutes already. So
setting up.
This is going to be a special Best Laid Plans because we're not running a normal game of Malifaux. Ooh, spooky scary. We are going to be trying out the new Henchmen Hardcore rules. What new Henchmen Hardcore rules, you ask? Well, I made them up. Me, Spoons Johnson. I thought we'd take a crack at spicing up the Henchmen Hardcore rules, making them a little bit closer to a normal game of Malifaux, to be more appealing to people that are more meta-inclined, and also allowing for more variety of models, because the original Henchmen Hardcore it's effectively a near-solvable game. You've seen people talk about the game before. There's specific combinations that kind of wreck face. So, quickly, let's go over the changes for Henchmen Hardcore. These are the rules that I came up with. These are a rewrite of the existing rules. Some of these things are already happening, like the encounter size is still 30 soul stones. Round time is a limit of 45 minutes. We're not really going to do that here because we're recording. Game ends after turn 5, or at the end of a turn when one player has no models left, whichever comes first. So if anyone gets tabled, game's going to end on that turn. So you can effectively, possibly outscore your opponent and then make them kill you. To win.
Or kill
yourself. Yeah.
Unalive yourself for victory.
It's going to be kind of hard to off your last one, but it's probably doable.
If you play Ronin.
Oh, that would have been brilliant.
Okay. We talked about how broken Ronin were in that one recording.
Damn, I should have brought Outcast.
Okay, only henchmen can be chosen as leader. It is a Henchmen Hardcore after all. Leader's cost is not treated as 0 when hiring. A crew's soulstone pool can never exceed 3. Any excess soulstones are discarded, so it's effectively you need to spend at least 24 stones on minis and upgrades. Players have a maximum hand size of 4. Player's crew must contain exactly 4 models. Leaders have action limits of 2 instead of 3. Models cannot be summoned. If a model would be summoned, the summon effect is ignored. The helping hand ability listed on effigy models is ignored. Victory points from strategies and schemes may be scored during turn 1. I think it was just schemes initially in the original Henchmen Hardcore rules, and I figured why not also allow people to score the strategy if they can, turn 1. Here's the big one, folks. The board is reduced to a 20-inch by 20-inch square. It is compact, but that means the action happens right away, and also you can, if you have a standard Malifaux mat, you have this board right there because it is everything that isn't in a standard deployment zone. So the center square is a 20 by 20. Players deploy on opposite sides of the board, and deployment zones are considered 2 inches from the edge of the board. Just enough space to fit your 50mm models. And the schemes and strategies are generated this time around with a specific list that I have curated. That is to say, all these rules are subject to change. We are still testing them, but seems fairly good right now. There are obviously some problems with it, but there are some problems with the original Henchmen Hardcore rules, so we will try to get it as balanced as possible. Anyways, that is all the rules changes. Let's go over our 2 guests. If you couldn't recognize the voices earlier, let's first go with our attacker. Mr. Horrible Person.
Oh yeah, that's me.
Wait, oh yeah, Roman's the horrible person.
Yep. No, you're just probably cheating.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Hi, it's me. I was told to fork off by Spoons Johnson out of the the host chair. And I thought that would be a nice change.
Vic's gonna drive out to fucking Indiana and punch you. I'm gonna tell her to do that.
That's fair. I appreciate friends visiting.
Okay, Mr. Attacker, Mr. Defender.
Hi, Spoons. Happy to be here. I'm Nate.
Hello, Nate. Nice meeting you for the first time.
I don't have cutlery puns, unfortunately. I came ill-equipped for such. I'll have to chopstick my way to victory. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
No, I'm not happy with that.
Good enough. All right, so initial things out of the way. I guess I can go ahead and declare the pool, then we can talk about what you guys declared beforehand of this recording. Our pool is Carve a Path. The Carve a Path rules are slightly changed this time around for obvious reasons, because you're on a 20 by 20 board with only 4 models. Now, each player only has 1 carve marker to push around. However, there is a neutral carve marker at the center point that counts as friendly for both players. So they got something they can fight over.
Yay!
Hooray. Yay.
Hooray for violence.
Hooray for violence. Quickly, as I vamped where I try to find where the fucking... There we go, okay. Our schemes are Let Them Bleed, Leave Your Mark, Hidden Martyrs, Secret Meetup, and Claim Jump. A nice smattering of things. If you go and look at the pool, or the available 13 schemes, they kind of shy away from killing, because killing has an extra advantage in this game when you and your opponent only have 4 minis.
Turns out.
Alright. Our attacker, Mr. Roman, what is the faction you have declared?
I have declared blue team. Go Arcanists.
Boo.
Boo indeed. You'll never catch Spoons Johnson playing Arcanist, that's for sure. Right, what faction? Mr. Defender Nate.
If we're all playing our typecast factions, I picked the only true good guys, the Bayou. True heroes.
Right. The Team Brown.
Let it be known that I did
team.
think about Bayou, but I didn't want to commit Bayou on Bayou violence.
But it's funny.
It is funny. You have a point.
Okay, next would then be your leaders for your crews. Roman first. Who are you going with?
Carlos Vasquez.
Oh.
Pretty great.
No.
Pretty great guy.
I hope he's the most expensive one in your list.
That's adorable.
Nate, what's the leader you're bringing?
I have brought Sammy LaCroix.
Ooh.
Everyone's favorite little witch.
Obviously, everyone's favorite. The only voodoo inspired witch in Bayou.
Not a very common theme.
Also the most flavorful of LaCroix.
Wow.
She was shipped close to lemons.
All right,
wafted with air from a strawberry field.
So we've got Arcanists, led by Carlos Vasquez. Roman, what is the rest of your crew after finding out what your opponent is bringing as far as faction and leader?
So, I in no way changed what I was bringing to this, after finding faction leader, because I came up with this list after entire minutes of thought, and several thoughts that just wouldn't go away. The intrusive thoughts came in and said, you know what equals out to exactly 30 stones? 8 plus 12 plus 5 plus 5. So I have Carlos, the Cuisinart, duet, and 2 showgirls, with no upgrades and no stones left over. And this is why I'm probably a horrible person.
Yep. Not probably.
Couldn't even afford a magical training.
I know, right?
In this economy?
Right?
Okay. I managed to not throw up. Nate, what did you bring after knowing your opponent's faction and leader?
I brought some more middle of the road choices. I didn't bring anything that cost 12 stones, given I have none of those options. So I have in fact brought Sammy, of course. We brought everyone's favorite Bo Peep. We brought a Swine Cursed who has an inferiority complex, and we have a Dabbler. We've also got some blue on this side.
You can keep him.
Dabblers.
Yep.
Okay. So doesn't seem like a whole. We'll get into that in the interview, I guess. So yeah, that's the next step. We're gonna go into pre-planning. Right after I describe the board, we can go and describe the board. We're playing on Vassal. I've got the area marked off here. The original map was the hell was the original map? Crowsand Town? I think that's what it was. I rearranged the things. Okay, so we've got a top, a bottom, a left, and a right as we're viewing the area. We have not had our teams declare which their deployment they're on. So I guess technically you could pick the left or right if you wanted to. We just swap the center line. But in our upper left, we've got the ruins of a building and a wall that's would probably allow someone to just hide back there, probably from the opposing team, because otherwise you'd have a hard time kind of getting out of there. In the center of the northern part of the map is some barrels, and halfway between the center of the vertical center line? The vertical center line. That's how you describe it. And the right edge is another ruined building, but this one is facing the opposite direction in a fully 180-degree L shape. I don't know. How would you describe that, guys?
Yeah,
That's
upside
right.
down L.
Yeah.
An upside down L.
And that has a door in the middle of the right wall.
Yep.
Yes.
There's also a
It also
bush.
has a bush
Yes.
attached to it on the upper part. So now to the south part of our map, the bottom, we've got a small hut that is center left, almost on the center line. And about 5 inches below that is another hut, also 2 inches tall and impassable. And then, God, directions. I'm not good at this. I suck at this game. I'd say almost in the exact center point of the bottom right quadrant is a rock, fairly sizable rock.
Multi-tiered rock.
Multi-tiered rock. Well, this is a very poor description, but I'm not exactly sure how to do that in an audio format. You'll just have to deal with it, I guess. All right. That's Spoons Johnson guarantee. You'll just have to deal with it. We've got a map. Imagine a map. There you go. Perfect. Good enough. Close enough, anyways. All right. We're going to have our defender pop off, and we'll talk a little bit of strategy with our attacker.
All right, let me know when you need me.
Plug your ears or something. Okay, Mr. Attacker. I'm going to bring a fucking duet.
I thought about naming this list. What do we got on this thing? A Cuisinart?
So, go ahead and go over why you picked this particular crew.
It's about 80% the intrusive thoughts I mentioned earlier, and then looking at the pool, I don't know of any crew that I've ever run that plays Carve a Path better than a performer crew. Definitely not in Arcanists. Other things that could give them a run for their money would be like Wastrel or Zip, but in this small of a board, I was like, even without Colette, I think they just interact everywhere they want. They move the carve markers however they want, and they're fast enough that they'll be okay. And especially with the new Showgirl defenses, I think they're going to be a lot better off than they would have been previously. As far as the schemes, there's a decent number of things on here that I just tend to like with performers. Hidden Martyrs is pretty nice, just because I can be like, hey, I'm just going to shove Carlos down your throat. Oh, you killed him? Cool. Now you have to go kill that showgirl too. Which honestly might be harder. Like, neither of those is a super easy choice. But yeah, and then also you have to deal with the duet in general, which, I snuck a 5th model into a 4-model crew. Oops.
Yeah, it's certainly helpful to have 5 activations and a crew that you can only have 4 models in.
Yeah, without giving up a pass token. Beyond that, like, I think the only scheme in here I'm not a particular fan of is Let Them Bleed. And even that, like, in this situation I could probably do. But there's positional schemes in Secret Meetup, and then Leave Your Mark and Claim Jump are all scheme based. Like, I should be able to do that, no issue.
Okay. Is there anything in your opponent's team that you are worried about, concerned, something you want to keep your eye on?
I know in general, Bo Peep having the ping healing for the whole crew is interesting, and something I probably need to watch out for. Swinecursed, I always have a little trouble really making them sing whenever I run by you, but I know Nate tends to be a bit more of a virtuoso than I am on that front. So I'm concerned that those are going to be tricky, especially with the ability to make them fast and use glowy shenanigans, and still heal up from Bo Peep. That with Sammy could be interesting. Dabblers are going to be the Dabbler is going to be annoying, as Dabblers are. I think the good thing is their little weird cheese of I choose to fail the flip to actually make my shockwave goes off won't matter, because the reason you do that is for the configuration card, which shouldn't matter when there's just like one of them. So I think he's mostly there for movement shenanigans and card pressure through shockwaves, but that can be a thing when you only have 4 models. So we'll see.
All right.
Hang on, there was one thought I just occurred to. Oh, I do have to watch out for the coffee on the Swinecursed, because that means if I get the duet within 4 of it, and on a 20 by 20 table, a 4-inch aura off of a 40 mil base is not nothing, I suddenly can neither dance apart nor together.
Did he specify he put coffee on the Swinecursed?
That's what it says in the app.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not saying it's wrong, it's just I don't think he mentioned it, so it's good for our listeners to know that.
Yeah. Okay. I forgot until I looked at the app. So yeah, the coffee with the diversion, but also mark territory on there is a big issue for all of the scheme reasons I just mentioned, because that can just go, oh, lovely scheme markers you have there. Those are my focus now. So I do think the Swinecursed is probably my target number 1. It has to go down.
Okay. 2 more questions. One, what do you probably think you're going to pull for schemes?
Let's see.
You can obviously change your mind right before the game, but
I think I'm going to go with Hidden Martyrs on Carlos and one of the showgirls, and then I think I might do Secret Meetup, honestly, because I have a good amount of offensive movement, and even if I don't get 0.1, again, 0.2 is going to be, here's a couple scheme markers. Awesome.
Okay. And so the new Henchmen hardcore format allows you to aggressively score turn 1 if you so choose, and you have the speed for it. So are you considering... What's up?
I just realized I can't do Hidden Martyrs because that specifies non-leader, so I can't do that. So it'll probably be Secret Meetup, and honestly, at that point, I might just go for Let Them Bleed and just go all in on stuff needs to die quickly.
Okay.
That has a slight
So back to
advantage
that,
of I don't think Nate will expect me to do that. Sorry, I'm done now.
Fair, yeah. That's fine. Back to the question, do you think you're going to try to score turn 1? Are you going to go after that center marker right away, or are you going to avoid it, move slowly? What's your turn 1 plan, you thinking?
I think I'm going to play that a little by ear depending on what Nate does. I want to end the turn in control of that marker, whether it is on my side slightly, but I'm set up to like multi-kick it the following turn, or if it's way on his side, if I really go for it. I think I'll play that by ear depending on what he does. But I know one thing I'm going to do is I don't think I'm going to group up my wagon and the center wagon. Like, they're going to go in fairly different directions, I think.
Okay. All right, that's all I wanted to know. We can go ahead and swap. I'm not going to scream.
Wonderful.
We'll get a hold of Nate.
Awesome.
Hello.
Thank you for not
I have
turning off
returned.
your mic, so it gives the appearance that you're just plugging your ears in the corner.
Oh, God. How much noise was I making?
Had a nice conversation with Roman. I think you did not mention the 12 cups of coffee on the Swinehurst.
I
least I
swapped
don't-
that for complex. Did I not mention that?
I don't think you mentioned any upgrade. Also, he was looking in the
okay.
app, and apparently the app said 12 cups. So we'll
Yes,
figure that out.
That was the thing I had forgotten to change.
Okay.
All
right. We'll let him know before any major decisions are taken. All right. So, why this crew? Why did you pick this crew?
It's mostly because it's models I'm familiar with. I think they should be able to handle the pool fairly well. Especially into Carve. I've got Bo Peep, who has great movement and can go reckless for fast. Sammy and the Swinehurst can gain fast because Bo Peep will be harming them. And the Dabbler can run off and do Dabbler things and hopefully score other scheme points, depending on what I decide to go with.
Okay.
And also helps set up some card security.
Anything in your opponent's crew you are worried about?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe the Corfy duet.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, the Corfy. Obviously, the duet is going to be a problem. But Carlos is almost as much of a problem, I've found, just historically speaking. He's hard to pin down. I'm actually not worried about the Corfy, but I have Sammy, and Sammy hits the Corfy's one weak point, which is willpower. I can hit the Corfy's willpower 2 or 3 times, get a couple injured, and then that actually gives the Swinehurst a chance to actually maybe do some damage there if I need to. So that actually helps a lot in that specific regard.
Okay. What are you pondering, possibly going to be taking for schemes?
Martyrs is an option. I can just plug in the Dabbler with literally anyone else in the crew.
Well, not Sammy. You cannot use your leader.
Other than Sammy, I can pair the Dabbler with Bo or the Swinehurst, and someone will probably die. Given a Corfy exists. What else do we think? It's gonna be hard to take the center if he's gonna be aggressive with the Corfy. So Leave Your Mark is probably a difficult choice. Let's see. Leave Your Mark. Yeah, Leave Your Mark and Claim Jump are both center based. I could see if I could, again, if I get a good turn where I can have Sammy potentially jinx the duet out of being a problem, I can maybe do Claim Jump without having to worry about trying to get a scheme down if I can make that as difficult as possible. So probably claim jump and martyrs, with let them bleed being a potential third choice, depending on how I'm feeling when we deploy.
All right. And last question then, what are you thinking for turn 1 strategy, possibly? Because you can score both these scheme and strategies and schemes turn 1, and you do have that neutral marker that you can possibly dive and get pushing on your opponent to apply pressure. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and you really only need you only really need 2 pushes to get across the center line from where the wagon's starting, if I'm not mistaken. So that should be pretty doable. Like, Bo Peep can probably get it to or past the center line turn 1 if I want her to. So, I mean, really the standard setup for what we're doing here with a whiz-bang team is Bo Peep is going to races on through Sammy and the Swine Curse to get them both fast and glowy charging up. Dabbler will probably try to take a flank wherever I see Roman trying to go with maybe like the performers or the performers. Whatever they're called now. The little minions. Showgirls, performers, one of those two. You know how it is. If he makes the mistake of keeping the showgirls too close together, I might try to shove the Swine Cursed at them. Because if I can double tap them, I 100% know he can't get martyrs. And the Swine Cursed, who I'm giving inferiority complex, which kind of got lost in the translation because of I'd put in coffee and then I decided I wanted complex instead. So we'll have to clarify that with Roman. But I can literally use the ability bully on the showgirls to get onslaught and hopefully possibly take both of them out in a good turn with a fast Swine Cursed. Hopefully either turn 1 if he goes too far forward or turn 2 if I can not get blended by Corfy. Every plan is great until it meets Corfy.
That is fair. All right, I think we're good. We can move on to deployment and turn 1. Let's get Roman back in here, and I'll go ahead and stop the recording. And welcome back. I'm your host, as always, Spoons Johnson. And this is the end of round 1. We have our attacker here, Mr. Roman. Let's go ahead and talk about what happened for round 1. Yeah, go give us a brief overview.
Yeah, so I won initiative and had Nate go first, because it seems like a good idea. And immediately while he was taking his first activation, I stopped paying attention because I realized I had fallen for one of the ancient ruses of, oops, I deployed Carlos within 2 inches of someone who cares about being on fire. So I said that was going to be a problem for later Roman, and moved up a showgirl after kicking a wagon and then focused. Immediately realized I should have used that extra action to, not realized. I considered using that focused action instead to beckon and call the duet forward away from Carlos. Except I had a problem. Of my 4 cards in hand, 3 of them were under 5.
Ooh. Ow.
Yeah, so I had a couple. I had, I think, 3 different target numbers this turn that I needed a 5 or a 7 on, and flipped none of them. So hopefully that's going to help a little bit next turn, because I can at least discard these 3. But like, Carlos is not on fire, so I didn't hand out an extra distracted at the end of the turn, because I missed that target number. But importantly, the duet is not on fire, but, and this was the thought process I had here, one of the rarely used actions is Power of Dance, which means the duet can just pulse out healing 2 within 3. So I'm going, you know what? I don't have a way to heal the duet, and having it on an odd number of wounds actively hurts it whenever it does its dancing nonsense. So the second showgirl, I had walk up and beckon and call Carlos towards the 2 showgirls, which did end up within 2 inches of both of them. So both of them were on fire, but I ended up patting out one of them with one of the Corifee's turns. and I can always heal them up later. I don't have a way to heal up the duet. Carlos, in the meantime, ran forward, kicked the centerline wagon just over the center line so that Sammy, who still had to go at that point, couldn't reach it. And then took several Sammy attacks to the face, and only needed to worry about being buried once, which was a thing I also realized shortly before Sammy went, oh right, she has Glimpse the Void. I definitely don't want the duet to go for the first time before she does and split into 2 willpower 4 targets for, hey, get buried so you can't dance back together. So I do feel like I'm going to have a couple choices this game of activation order that is going to be a little bit of juggling to decide, okay, do I get 2 Corey Fee activations or do I not let Sammy try to bury me? Importantly, Carlos, after his butterfly jumps, is now still within 1 inch of the just over the center line wagon, engaging the Swine Cursed, and has both the Swine Cursed and Sammy where they're going to be lit on fire this turn. So he's probably going to go early and just try to lay down Hellfire as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then between that and the duet, should be able to swing in on the left side to hopefully finish off the Swine Cursed, or potentially charge through it to start beating up on Sammy. We'll see how that goes. And meanwhile, the showgirls can just be like, and we're kicking both our ball and the ball that the Swine Cursed already kicked into our side last turn, so they should be able to do some interesting things. But yeah, I'm up by a point because we both got the strat, and I also got secret meetup with the duet and Swine Cursed within 3 inches of each other and the little not quite on the center house. So I think I recovered nicely, despite lighting my own people on fire.
Any particular reason to decide
part
to
of the
deploy
show. It's
your
fine.
wagon on the same side as Nate?
In part because I have Don't Mind Me on 3 models, so I kind of want to be where the wagons are close together, so I have more ease of opportunity of walking into one area and kicking 2 of them.
Okay. That makes sense. You said you're probably going to start Carlos early to drop stuff. What are you thinking of doing with your showgirls? They just going to be the kicking ones?
They're going to do kicking, and I think what they're going to end up doing right here is each one of them is going to kick once. Their new melee is honestly pretty solid, especially versus that Swine Cursed, because the Swine Cursed has willpower 4, they have a 5 versus willpower, and negative on damage is positive for them. So, depending on how quickly that Swine Curse moves around, and how much I can keep it distracted between Carlos and the duet, I may have them gang up on it after kicking 2 of the wagons over. We'll see how that goes, though. But we'll kind of play that by ear. If I can pat the burning off of the one that is still on fire, that's going to be a nice thing to do as well. But we'll see how the action economy works out.
Okay. I think we got a good idea of what you're planning on doing, so let's go ahead and get Nate in here.
Sounds good.
Hello, Nate's back.
It's Nate. Hi.
It's Nate.
Got to put
Hi.
on the Spoons Johnson voice.
Yeah,
Every time
Spoons Johnson.
we come back.
My
All
favorite
right.
guy.
End of round 1. You've managed to kick your card across the center line, but seems like you conceded the middle of the map a little bit in favor of setup and getting some shots off on Carlos. So how was your turn 1 and what's your plan for turn 2?
Turn 1 went about to expectation. I decided, I wanted to go to make sure I could get a point. So instead of going aggressive and diving into the showgirls and getting my swine curse killed, of which he had the option, I chose not to do that and had him spend his turn, his activation, kicking that ball across the line. Other than that, it pretty much all kind of went to the general plan. Bo Peep gave Sammy and the swine curse fast. The dabbler hasn't done much yet. I don't know. He'll just come in and probably try to harass a little bit, but mostly I'm going to try to keep him safe and probably dive in with Bo Peep to see if I can get him to go for that, go for the kill, and then I get that martyr point on Bo Peep and the dabbler.
Okay.
I do have to play a little safer with the swine curse because I did put him for my claim jump, which probably was a mistake, but it's the choice we've made. But we do have Carlos down to five wounds. And there's not a lot of healing here, so if Sammy and the swine cursed can get a quick turn, we can maybe make that a weak point.
Sounds like a plan. I realize I don't think I asked Roman about the other scheme, so we'll get that figured out. All right, so you deployed your cart first, so that's not really a reaction to Roman's placement. So are you thinking of going with the two of them to try to beat down on Carlos, or are you thinking of starting with Bo Peep to cause a ruckus?
It's probably going to be Bo Peep first, so that I can get her in position to, kind of start playing distraction, maybe get a bit, if I can get fast back on the swine curse again, that would help. And then, I can send Bo Peep in to engage probably Carlos and the duet because she has a 2-inch reach. She's not going to do a ton because it's going to be difficult for her to hit the duet and do any kind of reasonable damage. And if I whip Carlos, he's going to butterfly jump away. But if I can get a free point of damage on him with the races on, that every little bit helps. And then hopefully the swine cursed and Sammy can take it from there.
Okay. So are you score-minded coming into turn 2, or are you mostly trying to disrupt your opponent?
I think the way the board is set up, I have to play a bit more disruptive and try to neuter or get rid of Carlos and hold up the core fee long enough to actually score points going further. So I think a first activation from me, if I go first, is probably like Bo Peep walking, kicking that wagon that's right next to Carlos, and then races awning into the thick of that mess. If my placements are what I think they are.
All right. That sounds like a plan. Let's go ahead and get started with turn 2 then, folks, and we'll meet you afterwards.
Woohoo!
Thanks, Nate.
Let's do it.
And we are back after round 2 with our attacker Roman. Go ahead and give us a recap of what happened for you.
I did win initiative, and Carlos lit the swine cursed and Sammy on fire, so that happened as expected. And then he punched both of them for more fire and distracted. So that was good. Nate then ran. I was almost wondering if he was going to swine cursed away from Carlos to get into the duet right away. He didn't. He got Bo Peep up there to kick the neutral wagon to my side, and then ended up doing swine curse things. But that did give me an opportunity to have the still on fire showgirl go in and charge into Bo Peep. Did absolutely nothing because I just couldn't flip a card for shit right there. But that did eat through a couple of severes of his, which was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the weaker model not being the one that doesn't do anything is preferable.
Yeah, exactly. And that also got one of the showgirls more in his face for him to need to deal with and do something about before he could get to the duet. Which, since I did end up taking Hidden Martyrs, but on the two showgirls.
Right, I We actually never went over that round one.
Yep.
Asking you what your...
Yeah, I did end up taking Hidden Martyrs on the 2 Showgirls, which I figured would be okay. I just need one of them to die.
Yeah.
And he did end up having the Swine Curse, like, heroic intervention into the duet and 1 Showgirl, rampage over them to the other one, and then rampage off of that one back towards the middle, which did leave both of them in a bad way, but the duet was right there where I could heal both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Which I kind of almost didn't... I wanted to move it first so it would heal Carlos and one of them, but the way that the angles that we're playing run around this house with in the middle were not conducive to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I healed both of them, but that let the duet end up where it could start beating up on the Swine Cursed and end up near the middle, also close enough to where it, on its second activation, could heal Carlos a little bit, who is taking the brunt of all the kick in the face, as kind of expected.
Mm-hmm.
But then it managed to not get buried, but I had that thought of, I'm still concerned about Sammy burying it, but I'm not as concerned if it's together, because then I just have to wait till it activates and it pops up wherever. Can he make it pop up where I don't want it to? Yeah, but that just means I'm going to hurt something, and that's okay with me. But the last Showgirl that ended up onwarding to where, like I hoped, it could kick both of our, like, aligned strat markers. So I ended up handing out a bunch of distracted between those 2 interacts and Carlos being on fire. And now I'm pretty set up for both of those markers to be kicked back into his deployment zone,
mm-hmm.
or somewhere next turn. But I will have a problem after that, because the unaligned wagon, which both of us need in order to get a 3rd point or above, is very much in his control most easily to be able to kick it into oblivion where I can't get to it. Easily, anyway. So I'm going to have to figure out what weird dancing I want to do with the duet to go get that, but not turn like all of its activations going forward into, by the way, I'm scheming, while you still have stuff I could kill. It's going to depend on what he does with Bo Peep, I think, because she's kind of... I could send Carlos back that way while the duet continues to be a blender, but I need her to move first. But I think he's going to end up doing her, like, run through people to get to his wagon before I just kick it all the way back to his area. But if he does that, I have both Showgirls where he would kick it, so I should be able to still mostly maintain control of that. But we'll see how it ends up. Ideally, that happens, Carlos can kind of run back to unaligned wagon and start kicking it back while the duet is a problem.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes.
So no killing this turn.
No killing, but setting up for killing. I got the Swine Curse down to 3, and Sammy down to 4.
Mm.
And distracted on her, Bo Peep, and the Swine Cursed. So we'll see where it goes.
Do you have any guesses on what his schemes are?
He is kind of starting to conglomerate around the center, so I'm not sure if he has Leave Your Marker, Claim Jump, but I bet it's one of those 2. And then the more I'm thinking about it, he could have taken Martyrs on either Bo Peep or the Swine Cursed and the Dabbler, which wouldn't be a bad call because the Dabbler's kind of been hanging back, because that's where it would be, and it's potentially mobile enough where it can move around to get the 2nd point. So I'm betting it's one of those 2, which I'm probably going to give up. If I'm right about that, I'm probably going to give up that point, because Dabblers are just tanky enough where they take a decent amount to take down, and I haven't done anything in that direction yet. And I'm going to try and kill the Swine Curse this next turn, because I just need it to not be there to continue to rampage pinball off of all my guys.
Yeah. Okay, that's really enough, I think, for the round from you. So we'll go ahead and kick you off and bring Nate back. Thanks. Best of luck in turn 3.
Sounds great.
Huzzah!
Hi.
I have returned.
You have returned. All right.
It's me.
How did your turn 2 go?
It's going some kind of way. We're holding together. It feels like the House of Cards is about to fall, as it were. It didn't quite accomplish to essentially do much to either of the bigger targets. I would have liked a berry on the Corfy from Sammy, but that did not come to fruition, and I did a total of 1 damage, which is unfortunate. My poor Swine Cursed. I really probably should have swapped my Claim Jump and my Martyr's target between Bo Peep and the Swine Curse, because I don't know if the Swine Curse lives through this turn unless I get lucky. Because he's sitting on 3 next to the Corfy, which is not a great position to be in, historically speaking. What else happened this turn? I did what I needed to with Bo Peep. That worked out pretty well as far as like getting everything scattered back out, but he was able to do Corfy things, and then the Corfy ended up exactly in the way as it usually does. Yeah. That's the vibe right now. So we're looking at both of our wagons next to Carlos, and then the neutral wagon down on his side. I think if he doesn't look at that one too hard, I can slip past him and knock that one into his deployment. We'll see how that goes. My other goal going forward is to see if I can snag those showgirls, since they're getting low and it's happening pretty cohesively. So again, want to keep following that goal of tag them both just in case they're a Martyrs duo, because he hasn't declared another scheme yet. So that seems increasingly likely given his course of play and where he's operating on the table.
That covers my next question of what you think is hidden.
Yeah, I think I would guess that. If not, because he's not like trying to put down schemes for anything. Obviously, he'll need to for secret meetup if he wants to score that, which I can try to deny with Bo Peep, assuming she lives that long, which she's at full health, so seems theoretically possible. But could be Claim Jump if he's just trying to slice and dice everything off the table, but that's not usually Roman style. I mean, sometimes, but
metagaming.
It's you gotta metagame your opponent, especially when it's Roman.
So you have a general idea of what you want to do next turn, but it looks somewhat dire. Is that what you're?
Yeah, up? It's. I'm gonna have to play clever. I'm gonna have to watch my options and not get tilted if the Swine Curse dies activation 1.
Fair. That's never a great thing to experience.
But,
okay. Yeah, middle of the game at this point. So let's go ahead and bring you guys back in. Get the next couple of rounds in.
Turn upward.
We're at the end of turn 3, and nothing has died. And I'm very upset about that. Roman, go ahead and tell us what happened for you for turn 3.
Well, first off, my hand was again... It wasn't horribad, but I had nothing higher than an 8.
Ugh.
So I could cheat a little bit, but it was usually like, oh, we flipped the same thing. I'm going to cheat 1 higher. Or, hey, I need to hit this target number. I got that.
Not the worst.
Yeah, not the worst. It was workable, but had I had like 1 severe, we would have a very different board here, I think, depending on when it was used. But I've been continuing to apply pressure via Carlos and the Swine Cursed, or excuse me, Carlos and the duet to the Swine Cursed and a few other things, but long story short, the duet, I think, has used Power of Dance more in this game than I have used it the entirety of the rest of this edition in regular Malifaux.
Hey, that means that the rules are bringing out a different kind of playstyle. That makes sense.
No, well, and part of it is the fact that it's a smaller play area. Normally, the duet in a bigger board is like, I am super fast. I'm going to go over here and, like, slice and dice a little thing, and then you're going to leave me alone because nothing you can send after me is going to catch me. Whereas here it's like, oh, we're kind of all in the scrum wherever we go. I can be within 3 inches of something to heal it for 2. That's fine.
Yeah.
I keep getting pretty lucky on the reposition trigger there, too. Nate was doing his best to, like, lock down the duet and keep it from charging things. So I healed Carlos and went, oh wait, I can get out of Bo Peep's engagement now. And then charged over, like, the Swine Curse, Bo Peep, and Sammy.
Goodness.
Yeah. Really tried to take Sammy out this turn. Got real close, just couldn't quite get there. And the duet is itself down to 3 wounds and is buried at the moment.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he did a really good play with Bo Peep while the different choreography were split. That, oh boy, did that add up. But I'll let him cover that on his side. I did not get to the unaligned wagon in time, so it is now back in my deployment zone. I have Showgirl A running after it with her 2 wounds. She's either going to get there and kick it, or Bo Peep is going to run her down, kill her, and I will get, assuming I can keep Showgirl B alive, I will get martyrs that way.
Yep.
Otherwise, she's going to be far enough away that Showgirl B will die, and I'll get martyrs that way, is the hope. Because while it's in my deployment zone, he's just scored his 2nd point on it. Neither of us is scoring another point on strat until we get a 2nd marker on the other person's side of the table. And I did do what I wanted of, oh, both my marker and your aligned marker are kind of in your upper left corner. Mine is in his deployment zone, which is where I needed it to be.
Yep.
In short order, this next turn, I plan on kicking his into, like, the opening of the weird wall in the upper left corner. Because if I can do that and then, like, kick it one more time down into there, he has to kick it, like, twice to get it even out of that thing, and I can basically go, you're not getting the strat. It's not happening. So I'm not quite sure what to do first this next turn. I feel like the right play is going to be go with the duet, because all of his crew is fairly well compacted, and when it unburies, it's going to be within 1 inch of one of his models. So unless for some reason he unburies it just by the Dabbler, which I doubt, it won't be able to charge, but I can hopefully, with a fresh hand, put its stat 7 to use, finally killing something. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I think that's the play, unless I don't get initiative, in which case we'll go from there.
Okay, doke. Since he still hasn't revealed anything, are you still on the theory of those 2 schemes being his?
Yeah, I'm still thinking it's probably Martyrs on. I just don't know if it's on Bo Peep or the Swine Cursed, but the 2nd point is the Dabbler. I at least started doing some damage to the Dabbler this turn. So I don't think I can take it out in one swing since it keeps getting the shielded back. But if I can hit it once decently and then let Burning take it out at the end of the turn, it'll be okay. And then if I can take out one of the other 2, I'm dealing with that. I still can't decide if his other one is Claim Jump or Leave Your Mark, because I've just been in the middle with the duet, and he hasn't been able to get there. But, like, the 2 things he has close to the middle, if he took Claim Jump, are within 3 of Carlos, so it's not going to do well to do that either, and I've been doing a good job at keeping Carlos healed up. It is 2 of those 3 schemes, though I'm betting it's really Martyrs and one of the other 2. I just don't know which. So ultimately, I'm going to just make it my business to probably start moving Carlos back towards the middle, just to be like, you have to either not be engaged and drop a scheme, or move away from me or kill me. And let's see, does he have the trigger? Yeah, I might have him go later this turn, because he has the Up in Flames trigger on his Breath of Fire. So if I see him dropping a scheme near the middle, I can just Breath of Fire whoever dropped the scheme, and if I have a crow, burn it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, sounds good. Then we'll go ahead and kick you out and bring Nate back in.
All right.
Hey, welcome back.
Howdy.
How was your turn 3?
We're holding on. We're
Yes.
gripping on for dear life. We're gonna make this work. Probably, maybe. We'll see. That's where we're at right now.
Well, what happened?
So we managed to get that first activation, and I ended up basically having the Swine Curse reposition Bo Peep out and then get in and just get stuck here in the middle, and get a bunch of health back because, you know, that's Bo Peep. Bo Peep is great. Eventually he ended up splitting the Corphe, and I had a half a second to pound a bunch of damage into one of them with Bo Peep. Actually, both of them, really. So that thing's down to like 3 wounds now. We got it buried as well. Sammy got a snag on it. So it is off the table for a second, sitting on 3 wounds, waiting to come back and jump me. But that gives me a little bit of control on its positioning. The Dabbler did some fun things. He cleared Sammy's burning. Sammy had a rough go, but she's still standing on 2 wounds. I can probably afford to lose her this turn if he goes into her. But I'd prefer not to do that.
Yeah, that'd be ideal.
That'd be ideal. But if I can at least get one more activation out of her, she'll have done her job. I really need him to like kill the Dabbler or Bo Peep this turn, but that's probably not going to happen unless I like make the Dabbler a problem. So I'm going to probably route him over to these wagons that he's pushed all the way up in my shit. And then try to probably make him unbury the Corphe up there as well, so that he has to deal with that. And hopefully, if I get initiative, I hope I can deal with this 1 wound showgirl and direct at least one other model towards that other showgirl and knock them both off this turn. Because that would be ideal. That's getting less and less likely, and if we let this go too long, I'm not going to have any options.
Sure. Okay.
I'm almost 90% sure it's Hidden Martyrs on those 2, given his routes of play.
Okay, that answers my next question.
Yeah,
so
I'm still on that.
Your first activation is likely to be who then?
Probably Bo Peep again. Just because she can slip past, and then all I have to do is charge and stampede into Showgirl B, and she's dead. And that activation will have also shifted Sammy closer to the other Showgirl, and she's got 10-inch range. She can probably snag a shot on her, even if he goes with her immediately and kicks that wagon back out of his deployment. I'm probably not going to get another strategy point, at least not this turn, and I've probably maxed out where I'm at currently, unless things go exceedingly well or he doesn't activate in a way that I think he will. So we will see how that first activation goes, but it's going to be very important. The first activation this turn again would be very helpful, but we can't rely on that. We can only hope.
Can only hope. Okay, best of luck with turn 4.
Thank you.
Let's get Roman back and get that started.
Yeah. Call that shit.
Welcome back. We just went ahead and did turn 5 because it wasn't going to change a whole lot of what happened. Although a lot happened in turn 5, it was pretty obvious, inevitable. Anyways, okay. You know what? For once, let Nate go first. Tell us what happened.
Oh boy. So yeah, we go back to turn 4. When the Corphe was buried, The two showgirls had split off, and Carlos was standing there. Did you get first activation turn 4?
No, you did, because that was. Yeah. I'm going to bring up. I made two big ass mistakes early in turn 4.
So I got that initiative that I desperately needed that turn. Did the play where I just had Bo Peep shift everybody, cross over, charge in between, kill the showgirl that was on 1, and then that's where Roman then unburied the Corfee, and that gave me an opportunity to tag the other showgirl who was down on near my deployment. Which really saved the game for me. Thank you, Roman.
You're welcome. So the two big mistakes I made, and one of them you may have still been able to deal with really easily. One, I should have cheated that initiative.
Probably, yeah.
Because I had 2 11s in hand, and quite frankly, admittedly Monday morning quarterbacking here, but those 11s did nothing for me that turn, meaningfully. Yeah. I should have cheated one of them, gone first. At that point, I should have did what I did and had the Corfee unbury, because you wouldn't have had me blocked in quite so hard.
Yeah.
But the other big goof that I did is I misread and misremembered the unbury, because I thought it was within 1 inch of your models.
Nope.
So I was thinking, and this is when I went second and had it unbury, I didn't double check that. And I was like, oh, it's within 1 inch of your models, and I just haven't seen that in a while. And I was like, oh, well, I should do that before you have, the Swine Curse run off now that it's fast, and just be out in the middle of nowhere where I don't want the duet. So I want that out first, and that led to, well, now the duet is going, it doesn't have anything meaningful to do, and what I should have done there, had I not still cheated initiative to go first, is have the still living showgirl go and do one of two things. Either finish running into my deployment zone to start kicking the other thing back, though I don't think there's any way for me to get that over the line that turn.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think it wouldn't have mattered that much, because I wasn't going to score another thing anyways. So yeah, it would have come down to if that showgirl then got another activation on turn 5.
Well, the other thing that she could have done, and I think probably would have been the better option, is pull a U-turn and go kill the Swine Cursed.
Yeah.
Because, and I mentioned this in an earlier turn to Doug, of they're great for bothering Swine Cursed because they attack willpower at a stat 5. And I by the time I had that thought of, oh shit, this is not the time to go with the duet, you were already going, and she's dead. And I'm going, fuck. But yeah, at that point I was also thinking, okay, I need to have one of these showgirls survive this turn for martyrs, which wasn't going to happen. But if I had killed the Swine Curse, unless your next activation was go in and kill her in response, which you could have done, I don't know if that's what you would have, then the following activation should have been duet unburies, gets to wherever it needs to go to heal the showgirl and hopefully Carlos too.
Yeah.
Because that was definitely the turn where I knew the duet wasn't going to split again, because it was at an odd number of wounds and it was at 3, so I didn't want to drop to 1 and 1 on this individual Corfee. Yeah. So I was like, okay, it's only getting 3 actions, one of them's a walk. But at that point, okay, my first action is, if you unbury me where you're engaging me, I disengage. Then I nimble, if I need to, and then I heal people.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that and I said it in the game, we've been kind of seesawing on this knife edge of a game, and that was the point where I just fell off one side of the knife and said, ow, my feet.
I finally found the weak point of, because I had it in my head the whole game, if it's I'm going to kill either of the showgirls, they'd both have to go down the same turn.
Yep.
They're your only viable martyrs targets. If they are dying together.
Yep.
And I was real worried when you split them off turn 3, so. But I managed to, I was like, okay, I think I can do Bo Peep things and have people go zip out from where they were to where they will be.
Yep. And that was it. You played that brilliantly. So you had claim jump on the Swine Cursed, which that also would have negated if I had killed him.
Yes.
what was your other one? Was it Martyrs on the Dabbler and either Swinecurse and Peep?
It was on it was on Bo Peep. I realized pretty quickly I should have swapped that.
Okay.
I should have done Claim Jump on Bo Peep and done Martyrs on the Swinecurse and the Dabbler, because the Swinecurse is just, I spent so much time trying to keep him alive when I could have just let you kill him.
Yeah.
Like most of the early game.
Mm-hmm.
Might have put me back some activations, but I think it would have been a more likely point that way.
Yeah, no, I agree there. And I was sitting there being like, I don't know which 7-stone model you took it on.
You just tagged the whole group at that point. I was like, well, all right.
Well, and that's, but to do that, I needed the cards, which, while my deck was loving a lot of my defensive flips, when you were like, I can kill a thing, and it's like, no.
I can't.
No, you can't. But I had a ton of TNs that just didn't flip this game. Yeah. And my hands were fairly abysmal. At best was they were half and half of like 11s and like 5-6.
Sure.
But which isn't bad, but when you're on a smaller number model game, you're not going through as many with a smaller hand, it's more noticeable. Yeah, no, that I would definitely say that was fun. It definitely played different because of the spacing and just the smaller crews. Because you had, I was like, in case he has Martyrs, I have to set it up to where the Dabbler dies, which means I have to get to the Dabbler, because with they take usually 2 turns to take out.
Yep.
If you don't have like a dedicated, I'm a murder you beater, which I did not. Because I would need to take out him and one of the 7 stones, and I was guessing on which one.
Yep.
In fact, I got lucky this last turn of, you have the Dabbler in the middle with 3 and a shielded, and you have Bo Peep and the Swinecurse on 1, and I finally have 2 Severes in hand for Carlos to just light all of them on death.
Yep.
And I still almost left 2 of them alive to kill Sammy instead.
You did almost consider that.
Yep.
You almost made that calculus.
I almost did.
But I mean, Sammy really wasn't scoring me points, so.
Yep.
You made the right choice.
I'd stumble into those sometimes.
Yep. I feel that.
Yeah, no, fun game.
Did we go over the score?
3-3 tie.
3-3 tie.
3-3 tie.
Yep.
Roman presenting.
Just like round 1 Gen Con.
Yep. We both scored a wagon point, or both scored 2 wagon points, and
1 scheme.
Yeah, you scored Secret Meetup. I scored
Claim Jump.
Swinecurse. On that turn when he was fast and literally had nothing to do.
Yep.
So I'll walk over here, drop a scheme, and focus to get rid of this one of this 3 distracted, I guess.
Yep.
Okay. So thoughts on the format?
I like the reduction in the board size. It means that like your 4 models are impacting things, and you're not just like running a goober a million miles away to not, it's very interactive. There was never a point where like even my Dabbler, who was staying as far back as possible, was still had to consider interaction with the rest of the models in the game. I think that is obviously the most noteworthy thing, is just how immediately tight we are. And like, had we not been playing like a Martyrs thing, this could have gone a whole different way, because we were both being cagey on like, well, we have to be careful on how we kill, which is why nothing died until turn 4.
Yep.
Because we were making very conscious kill choices.
And that's the other thing I'd call out here is we weren't playing with the 45-minute timer, which I think would have pushed us into, I don't have time to consider this. I have to go.
Yeah.
So I could see that playing very differently with either of those changes, either play with the timer or not have Martyrs. I think this is because this is effectively you're playing Malifaux. I think as is, or with very few changes, you could make this a great demo format, because again, you're playing with very small crews, like half the size of a normal crew, basically. And you're playing on a smaller table, so you're getting right into the game. You're not dirtling. Just, I would almost say for that kind of thing, work up a couple crews beforehand. So if you're demoing somebody, you can just say, hey, here's the themes of these things. What looks cool to you? So they're not even having to think about, oh, let's find synergies and things with a thing they're not playing yet.
A lot of my playtesting was with the starters and
I could see that.
Outcasts. All of them have some play into it because those fucking riflemen have no engagement range.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Outcasts have a starter? I thought that was just syndicate models.
I've actually done fairly good with them.
I hire the riflemen all the time. Just in this, they would be a little tight because they don't want to be this close to anybody ever.
No. Yeah.
Okay, so re-rec the question: what would you do differently? Because I would think one of the most interesting things is neither of your beaters did any beating. Corey Faye spent more time healing and bullshit, and there was so much distracted on the fucking swine curse.
And that's the thing I say about the duet all the time. It's not really a beater. If you have the cards in hand and you have the extra actions available to get it focused, it can beat. But if it can't get a good charge off for the Blade Rush, which really you're hoping to do to more than one model at a time if possible, it's min 2. Like, if you're not getting at least moderate damage, it's not really a beater. It is more a mobile anti-schemer because it can kill scheme runners pretty easily. But everybody thinks it's a beater because it's so expensive and because it's hard to take down.
Yeah.
So re-rack, I would... first I would change which piece of terrain I took search the secret meetup on, because did not measure it. There was not actually enough room for me to get 2 scheme markers touching it and be 4 apart, and I didn't have a put down marker without interacting option. So that would have helped, but that didn't matter because I wouldn't have been able to score it at the end. Probably would have changed away from martyrs, because especially playing Nate, he knows I like martyrs. And I think if I could take it on Carlos, I would still take it.
Sure.
Because that would work. But if it's only on the showgirls, at that point I can be a little more forward with them and go, no. I'm actually kind of tanky for a 5-stone model now, and I'm going to attack your willpower, which several of your pieces are lower on. And just get them in there and keep doing shenanigans. That would be the big change for me. How about you, Nate?
I would probably go back to my original plan of coffee on the Swine Cursed, or probably coffee on... I'd probably actually go to coffee on Bo Peep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can just put her where you want her.
Yeah, she's always going to be mixing it up in your crew, and I forgot there wasn't nearly as much manipulative as I thought there was in Performer. Like, the Showgirls used to have it, right? Before they eroded them? Yeah. But there's really not as much as you think there is. So, Bully is nice against your 2 5-stone minions, but I think having the coffee on Bo Peep would have been more significant.
Yeah, because we do love our bonus actions.
Yeah, I can lock in, I can like make the Corfy have to like at least get away from me before she tries to split. And that's a big area, like a 4-inch off of 40 in this map size is.
Yeah, it's huge.
Like, I put her on the middle of the table, and you are... There's a huge area of no bonus actions.
Yep.
And most of Bo Peep's damage really doesn't come from attacking, it comes from driving over stuff and ramming into it, so all that distracted did not matter that much to her. So she can be in relatively unthreatened and heal back up, and I can save some stones from her if I'm not trying to martyrs onto her, and I do the martyrs on the Swine Curse instead and just run him in to go get killed.
Is that it? We got a good recap in. I don't think there's anything else we really need to cover. But I'm glad we went. Like, I was coming into this, I was terrified Corifade Duet was just going to ruin.
It was a frustrating model to deal with, but it is anyways. It's the sort of model I would definitely not put into a new person doing this format in like a demo format. It is you have to again, it's the kind of model you're building a very specific build around with like the 2 performers and Carlos, and like you got to have a plan for it. Like if you know performers coming, like, and you think they might do that, and it's probably not a bad idea anyways, bring a willpower attack.
Yeah, that was annoying.
If you have access to a willpower attack, bring it, because that is the best way to deal with the Corfi, is a good willpower attack, and that's why I was fortunate I picked Sammy.
Yeah.
Because that Jinx is the bane of a Corfi if she doesn't flip that well.
Yeah, and really any willpower attack that does damage and is just their least favorite thing.
Yep.
Even if it's not a lot of damage, because if you can damage them and leave them on an odd number to split, they're hurting themselves more, which is just mathematically awkward, but it is what it is. Especially as like a demo format, or just if you want to play faster, I think this is a good format here. I think we talked about this on the recording that we went over the rules when we were discussing it, of kind of when you were playing it, or when you were designing it, one of the things you were considering is this a smaller game of Malifaux, or is it like current Henchmen Hardcore, where you're playing with Malifaux models and the core of the rules, but you're playing an entirely different game? And I think we definitely ended up more of, this is a small game of Malifaux, again, great for demos, great for quick games, but it doesn't have that feeling of this is an entirely different game like Henchmen Hardcore does, which I personally am a fan of, but I've never been super, super big on the Henchmen Hardcore itself. Like, it's fun, it's just not for me. In part because it is solvable. But I think this was fun. I would definitely play this again.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Hey, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. God, I don't even know how closing this format.
Neither do I.
Okay.
I think the closing for Best Laid Plans has so far been, and I still haven't figured out a good closing for this, so we're done.
Okay. All right, we can say goodbye. So I have been your host, Spoons Johnson, sitting in the hot seat. Thank you for joining us, Roman.
Happy to be here, Spoons.
And thank you, Nate.
Well, you have yourself a lovely little evening there, Spoons.
For another fucking tie between you two.
Woo!
We're nothing if not consistent.
Thanks for listening, folks. Have a good night.
Good night.
Night. Night.
Music used in this production are Onion Capers, Marty Got's a Plan, and 5-Card Shuffle. All music is created by Kevin MacLeod and is used under Creative Commons.